And at that point, I started freaking out and it was like yelling at them. I was like, you tried to freaking kill me. What the heck is going on and whatnot? And they're like, stop, get out of here, turn around and all this stuff. And like, they were definitely concerned about me seeing whatever they had back there. And they did not want to let me through to get to the end, or there's something back there they did not want me to see, probably illegal. Right. And they had that kind of Breaking Bad look to them. Right. So I was like,
gosh,
okay. You have tuned in to Remote Trails Radio, where your hosts, Garrick and Melody, take you off the beaten path into the world of overlanding, life in the Pacific Northwest, and whatever the heck else we feel like chatting about. So grab a drink, settle in, and let's hit the trails together.
Welcome, and thanks for tuning in for another episode. I'm Melody.
And I'm Garrick. How are you doing, Melody?
I'm doing well, thank you very much. This is Remote Trails Radio.
Yeah. I kind of turned around on you that time.
I know. Wow. Didn't know we were in such a routine, but here we are. I like it. Changing things up for year two. That's great.
Well, you have the new background for, I know we're in an audio format, but pre-recording, Melody mentioned that she's got this new spot for the week. And it's the one time I'm going to see her with this beautiful window background. So it's pretty nice.
Picking different places inside to see what's best for recording.
Yeah. Well, it's also a beautiful sunny day in Seattle. I think it's like low 70s, so it doesn't get much more perfect than this.
That it is. Some places turn into greenhouses like this one, which is why the shades are down. Because it gets a little bit too bright in here.
My AC is definitely working pretty hard.
Nice. Yeah. It's a wonderful day. Sun's out. It's my dog's birthday, and he's happily chewing on a bone today. He is 4 years old.
Nice. Happy birthday, Boba.
Happy birthday, Boba.
Are there any sayings for like when they're 4? Because there's like the terrible 2s, and then I forget what the 3s were, but there's one for the 3s as well.
Well, he would be 7 times 4 is 28. He's a 28-year-old.
The troubling 28s.
All grown up. Yeah, well, we got quite a lot of content today. I'm really surprised. But we've been out and about. It's summer. I mean, we've been really busy. So I guess I shouldn't be so surprised. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into it.
All right. We have some gear updates. We're going to come back to you on all the things that we've been yapping about, all the gear, and come back and say, did this work or did it not work? So I guess I'll start. I've got a few things on the list.
Yeah, go for it.
So one of them is for moisture management in the car. And it's really tough to sleep in the car and make sure that you don't have condensation building up on the inside at night. And there's many different ways to deal with this. And one of them was the roadie. I bought this because it had it's like a tent-like structure that sticks out from the side window so that when it rains, you can still have a mesh vent, but then not have the rain come into your car if you had the window down. And I finally tried it after a year and a half of owning it, and I have to say it does not work. We might need to have Beth on the show again to tell me what I was doing wrong. But man, I tried many different ways to set it up, and it just seeped water right into the car at night.
Okay. So water seepage was the issue. Okay. Yeah, because it looks like that shouldn't be, because I'm looking at it on Amazon right now. It says Roadie, the overnighter SUV window tent.
Yeah, and there's many sold.
It like covers your entire door, and then it has like the tent structure coming off of it. So where was the water coming in?
The water was coming in from the top at the seam of the door. So the only way to get it to grab onto your door is you put the thing around the entire outside of the door. You cinch it on the inside before shutting the door. And what that does is it gathers the fabric in certain places. There's no way for it to be completely smooth. And then when you shut the door with the rubber seal isn't getting into all the indentations of the fabric. And so it's just letting water pile up and seep into the door instead of whisking it away off of the tent.
That's so weird, because I assume you experienced it when we had the terrible rainfall on Vancouver Island, right? That was like the ultimate test.
It was the ultimate test, that's for sure. I mean, it was
Yeah,
really bad weather, but that was the only time. That's why it's taken me a year and a half to use it, because it was pretty bad rain.
sure. Well, I had a much less sophisticated solution where I just had the sock that goes over, and the outside of the sock got wet, but it was never wet on the inside of my car. And that's just mesh. So I don't even understand why that like super simple solution didn't have the problems that this really complex solution apparently
Yes,
runs
and the
into.
roadie is much more expensive than a window sock. So I used the sock on the second day,
Yeah.
and I had absolutely no issue. So I'm here to recommend you the less expensive solution, which is the
Yeah, because
window
like it's
sock.
like $10, I think, for the sock pair.
Exactly.
I
You
wonder because
don't need to
it's
buy.
all mesh. It's just the mesh stops the water from having a continuity, essentially, or something like that. I don't know.
I have no idea, but it would be a good science project.
Yeah.
Yeah. The roadie, I would say the other downside to the roadie is it's really big. It's kind of clunky. So it does take up room. And then I guess you could pack it down in a compression bag if you really wanted to.
Mm.
But also because you have to fix it to the entire door, you know how muddy we get. I mean, we don't have
Oh,
clean
yeah.
cars when we're going out there camping. So
Yeah.
when I put this cover on, I was a little bit cringe, like, ooh, this isn't going to go well over the
Yeah.
course of the trip. And so, yeah, it was kind of a dirty solution.
Right. Whereas the sock, it's like I just stuffed it into the side panel of the door. It has a little storage cubby in it. And it's like it totally just
Exactly.
stuffs into there. No big deal. Interesting.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, you
So,
could do that science experiment this weekend because you have the perfect conditions for it. You have rain that's going to be occurring. You could have the roadie on one side and then the sock on the other side. And you have Beth there to tell you how to apparently use the roadie.
that's true. I was going to throw it away. Maybe I should bring it and have her teach me how to do it.
Yeah.
But it
Maybe
says only 20% chance rain. I don't know how much rain that's really going to be. Might not be
uh,
a good test.
20% on Saturday, but overnight it's going to be much higher. And it's
Oh,
going to be
okay.
like a lot of rain. It's like 0.6 of an inch. And I think our crazy rain that we experienced in Vancouver Island was 0.75 of an inch. So be ready.
Ew. Okay. So I think you have a gear update, Garrick,
I
on the headphones from our
do.
trip.
Yeah. I had used the Shocks Open Run 2, basically skull conduction Bluetooth headset on my BDR Section 1 and Part of 2 run, and it went really well. Like I had everybody saying that they could hear me perfectly. I could hear everybody else perfectly. So I brought them along on the Vancouver Island trip with me, expecting to have the same experience, but actually found a Achilles heel to it because they're like meant for running. They don't have any sort of obvious mic. There is a microphone on there, obviously, because that's what I was talking through, but it's, behind my ears somewhere, right? In a quiet environment, that's fine. But when we were going over some of the rougher roads in Canada, my cabin would just get really loud with the ambient sound of, everything jostling around and whatnot. You guys just couldn't even understand me when I was trying to talk to you during those times.
Yeah, this is trying to get a radio solution, right? Because you wanted to be able to hear us clearly and then be able to respond clearly on the radio.
Right. Yep. So I could hear you guys great. And I still really love that about the bow conduction is because I can hear you guys so much better than I can from the actual like headsets. But I looked up a couple of different solutions for this. One of them is it turns out that Shocks actually has something called Open Comm, and that's meant for more offensive environments and whatnot. But it actually has a boom mic on it that like extends forward and is closer to your face. And it also has some DSP processing that's supposed to sort of filter out the background noise and whatnot. I did order that and I have it in my possession. I have not tested it on an overland trip yet, though, so I don't know how well it does. But I will say the sound quality and comfort is the exact same as the open run. In fact, if I was still in the return period of the open run, I would probably just return their open runs and just keep the open comm. But unfortunately, that time has passed. So I'll just have to sell whichever one I decide I don't want to keep. But that looks promising, but it's untested at this point. The other solution was there's a company called Blue Parrot, and they specialize in Bluetooth headset solutions for truckers. And they have a bunch of different models available to them. But basically, their solution is instead of using like bow conduction, it's like a traditional headset, but it's only on one side. So it's like mono. And then it has a big old boom that's like directly in front of your face. Like the open comms, it's like kind of off to the side a little bit. Like the blue parrots are like big right in your face. The reason why I didn't try the blue parrot is because the ear cup that goes over your ear, it's not a full cover. It's only like a partial cover, so that part of it sits on your ear. And I know from headphones I've had in the past that I wouldn't be able to take that over time because I just find it very uncomfortable to have something sitting on my ear. So I need the full surrounds. If they offered a full surround option, I would have tried it. But at this time, they only have the ones that sit on your ear. I didn't even get a shot because I knew I would have to automatically rule it out. But that's a me
Yeah.
thing. So maybe if somebody else is doing this Bluetooth, maybe that might be worth considering.
Yep. And then for your main Midland radio, I think that Nick and maybe Michelle, we're going to try and do a radio test with you to see if swapping out the main head unit would help as well.
This is related to
your Midland radio whine.
Well, I wasn't using the Midland at all on the trip, but that would be possible. We didn't actually do it though.
Oh, right. Because you said I think you were having range issues too, right? If you're getting too far away from the group, you're using a handheld, so you weren't able to get that range. And
Right.
I think that was because you were thinking about getting the B-Tech.
Yeah, the B-Tech 50. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like, at this point, I'm not going to do anything that doesn't have Bluetooth because like I am sold on the Bluetooth solution.
Oh, okay.
So I have no interest in testing a Midland at this point because unless they start offering Bluetooth, I just don't care.
Right. You think they would do that by now? The B-Tech, are you thinking of getting that one?
Yes, I am. I was going to get it actually right after the trip, but then when I came back, because we had mentioned it, like the street price at the time was like 220 before the trip, but then when I came back, it was closer to 300. So I was like,
Whoa.
well, I'll wait. Yeah, because I was like, I don't need it right now. I don't have any like huge overland trips planned in the near future, so figured I'd wait until there's probably like a holiday sale or something.
Oh yeah, Black Friday's coming up, right? We also have Amazon Prime coming up too.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's like apparently every quarter now.
Right.
Prime days.
Yeah, that's a lot of days.
Yeah. And then I'm on the hunt for a bigger battery solution too. So I'll be watching the sales for those as well. Yeah, to sum it up, Bluetooth I still really love. It's still really fantastic for hearing. But if you're going to do the Bluetooth solution, make sure you get something that has a good mic on it because sometimes we're in tough terrain and it can be really bad environment. If you do have something like I do, like the open shocks, and you still want to use it, you just stop your car, I guess, and then talk and then keep rolling. But that can be kind of annoying if you have to do it over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
You had mentioned, I think it was a random recommendation, your electric heated mug.
Yes. I mean, I had already tested it at home and thought the world of it. And man, it was great on the trip. I would have to say that was the best. You could even preload it with water beforehand. And then when you wake up in the morning, you turn the battery on and it's good to go. Boils the water, put in the tea bag, and there you are. You can wake up to your tea instead of waking up, getting out of the cold car in the cold, in the rain, and then trying to get it to work. You can eliminate all of that. I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah.
High recommendation.
Doing as many things electric at this point. Get a big battery, get all the electric stuff. The fewer fuels you have to bring along with you, the better. Mm-hmm. I hate working with any sort of non-potable liquid anyways. I always mess up something and it ends up going everywhere. So it's just not meant for me. Like electricity's the way.
Yep. I was even able to boil water in that heated cup and then clean other things. So it was pretty handy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then I had one more thing, which was the shower. And I'm one of those people that if I have just even like a 10-second shower outside and we're not near a lake that is of decent temperature, it makes a world of difference. And I feel like a new person. So I went on to Amazon of all places and ordered the cheapest shower I could find. I think it was $28. It wasn't one of these fancy branded showers. It was just, you stick one end in a bucket of water. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that the other fancy brands are much more reliable, but this was just, you stick the filter end into a bucket of water and then the electronic device pushes the water through to a very cheap shower head that you hang from your rack bar on top of your car. It also has a suction cup. You can suction cup it to the window. And that's all it is. It literally just provides anti-gravity for the water to come down to your head. And it's awesome.
Does it have like a way to control like the flow rate of the water that you're using?
It has 2 flow rates, and I find both of them are a little bit too fast for my liking.
Okay.
I don't want to have a fast shower outdoors because then I have to bring more water. So
Yeah,
the
exactly.
slower the rate is for me, I
Right.
guess the better, I guess is what you're asking, right? I
Hmm.
had it on the lowest and it was still a little bit too fast, but honestly, you can turn it off too if you want to like take a break, soap up, do everything, and then finish your shower. You can do that.
Yeah. Is it like a trigger mechanism or is it like a twist on to get it going?
It's just a push button,
That's a
and
button.
it's a rechargeable battery.
Okay.
So you
The
do have
button's
to
not
keep
bad.
that unit somewhat dry,
I see.
but it sits on the floor. Or you can hang it off the bucket if you have a bucket, but I was planning on using more of a, I don't know, plastic bottle that wouldn't have that. Yeah,
Nice.
I highly recommend it. It's great. I use it. I modded it a little bit to my liking because I wanted a longer tube, but of course I have to do something that takes time to make it better, to make it my own.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, especially like on the Vancouver Island trip, like we were kind of, putting on bug spray and the suntan lotion or sunblock, right? And it's just like you have a lot of weird mixtures of chemicals on you. So,
Right. And we were in the sun, which is not normal for us that we're in the sun
right.
all the time. So you're
Mhm.
sweating.
Absolutely.
It was getting gross after quite a few days. And we didn't have a shower that whole week. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we'll link up your particular Amazon find and share that to the listeners.
Okay. Sounds good. So now we've come to what have we been up to lately? And I feel like that is a long list. So maybe we'll
Yeah.
try and make the highlights for you. Garrick, you have been out and about and not home very much. Please tell me about your recent adventures.
Yeah. So none of them overlanding trips, but adventure
Oh,
trips
okay.
nonetheless. One of the ones that it's actually a bicycling slash, like mountain biking specifically trip. It was the Olympic Adventure Trail.
Okay.
And this is basically out on the Olympic Peninsula, right near Lake Crescent, like basically in the north end of Lake Crescent on the east side. And this is something that's been on my sort of mountain biking bucket list for a long time. And I finally just decided to do it. And so I went and did it solo. The Olympic Adventure Trail, it's 25 miles of trail that's mostly single track. And it starts pretty close to Port Angeles. And you can go either direction, but the traditional way is from east to west. And I found a hip campsite that was like kind of right in the center of it. So I booked that and then did the start of it. The next morning, I was using my electric mountain bike, so that helped a lot for the range and whatnot. It was amazing though. As I was riding it, I was like, this kind of feels like equivalent of a BDR section, but for a mountain bike. Like that's how epic it was. It was just awesome, flowy trails, just beautiful views the entire time.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I highly recommend the Olympic Adventure Trail. It is definitely a top tier, mountain bike adventure. I did have a couple of issues on that particular adventure, though, as all adventures
Okay.
do. Um,
Okay.
the first was so I started actually from the west end and went east. And as I got onto the trail, I saw these painted arrows on the ground. I was like, that's weird. And they were like pointing
Oh.
in opposite direction that I was going. I was like, "Oh, okay." And I quickly found out what that was. It turns out that there was a trail running race going on the trail that day. And
Oh
there
my
was like,
gosh.
yeah, there were 200 racers going the opposite direction that I just had to like salmon through the entire time. So yeah,
Oh
that was
boy.
not ideal. Yeah, thankfully,
No.
like for the most part of the 200, I had only maybe two negative interactions. Most of the people were pretty cool. There's only a couple people that felt that, or they gave the impression that they were entitled for that trail because of their race. And I was like, well, they didn't close the course or do any sort of warning about this when I did it. There's no
Oh my
signs or
gosh.
anything. Yeah, but anyways, yeah, for the most part, people were pretty cool about it. There was that. The other thing was that after I had finished, and this is actually a good point for people who are planning for overlanding trips. After I'd finished, I had mapped out a route to get back to my hip camp using a road that was like right in the center. And
Okay.
it was like the difference between it being 5 miles to get back to my hip camp versus like almost 20, right? So
Wow.
yeah, I was like, this is amazing. I'm definitely going to take a shortcut.
Okay.
So I started
Is this
going
on
down this
Gaia
road.
or is this on Google Maps?
I was looking on Gaia, but also on Google
Okay.
Maps too. It just shows
Okay.
up as a road on there.
Okay, on both.
Google
Okay.
Maps you would have no idea, but there's actually a gate there, like a private gate. And at that point, I was like, what the heck? Like, I even looked on Google, and Google's like, yeah, take this road, take this Eden Valley Road down to the highway. But then it had
Okay.
this gate there, but it was like for cars, right? Like I could get around the gate. It was for cars.
Okay.
And I think I had been riding for 8 hours at that point, and I was 40 miles into riding. And my choice was, okay, well, my only other option, at least from what I could see, was to go another 20 miles in the opposite direction, or
Ooh.
just take the risk. And, well, it's a road. Like, who cares if I'm like on a road? It was only like a mile stretch. It's like, really, does anybody care if I'm be on the road for a mile? And I was also very tired and feeling very gassed. And I was like, okay, I don't even know if I have the energy in to do 20 miles. So I decided to take the risk, which, looking back, I think that was a poor decision anyways, but I was definitely not in the best condition for making sound decisions.
Why was it not a good idea, do you think, because of the gate? Like, you should have told yourself maybe not go down this road?
Yeah, you don't know, because that's trespassing, right? So you don't know. Private roads are a little bit less common, and it didn't say private road, but there's a
Okay.
gate there, right? But it did say private property off to the sides. So I was like, well, I'm not going to go on these people's property. I'm just going to stay in the road. But
Oh.
there was a gate.
Okay.
I had the inclination that it was not somewhere that I was supposed to be, but also it felt like a victimless crime or whatever. But the reason why I'm saying you should not do this is because you don't know who's going to be on the other side of that gate. And I found kind of the worst case scenario where
Oh.
so I go past this gate, right? And it's only a mile. For me to ride a mile on my bike would take, I don't know, like 5 minutes or so. Especially, I mean, like on a nice, clean gravel road like that. So I'm about quarter mile in, which is like 2 minutes at most, right? And suddenly this side by side comes just flying around a corner. Like, they're just like
Oh.
speeding real fast. There's two guys in there. And I was like, well, that's weird. And then it starts coming at me. And then it keeps coming at me. And then I have to ride my bike into the ditch so they don't hit me. And they were like intentionally coming in to hit me. And at that
Wow.
point, I started freaking out, and it was like yelling at them. And I was like, you tried to freaking kill me. What the heck is going on and whatnot? And they're like, stop, get out of here, turn around, and all this stuff. And like, they were definitely concerned about me seeing whatever they had back there. They did not want to let me through to get to the end, or there's something back there they did not want me to see, probably illegal, right? And they had that kind
Yeah.
of Breaking Bad look to them, right? So I was
Oh
like,
gosh.
okay, this
And the
is
timing, I
also
mean,
where I
they
want to
got you
be.
immediately. It was almost like they were posting up a security.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, they must have saw me on a video camera, and then they had some sort of alert, and they were like ready to go like that within 2 minutes, right?
Wow.
So that means they're on the alert, ready to
Oh.
protect whatever it is they're cooking, right? So I was like,
Whoa.
yeah. I looked later on Gaia, and I had the Overland layer on, but I didn't have the private property layer on.
Okay.
So Overland, it does have some lines on it, but it's not always obvious to know what the boundaries are if you just have the Overland layer on. But if you
Right.
turn on the private property layer, it will actually show the names that of people who own those private properties, and it becomes much more obvious. So from there, after I was out of there, I looked and okay, yeah, it was like a bunch of properties. So I don't know. I guess they have a little coalition or something like that. I looked up on Port Angeles Reddit, and some people listed it had a name, and people listed it as like a separatist community. So I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Anyways, I ended up finding a different route that took me 10 miles back. So it wasn't quite as bad. But that also had some issues because there was an area listed as a gravel road. But when I got there, the gravel road just turned to nothing because
Wait,
there had been
I'm
some
not done
active
with the
logging.
story yet.
Oh,
I'm not
sure.
no, wait, go
Okay.
back.
Yeah.
Go
What?
back. Wait. So these guys like basically attack you. You go into
Uh,
a ditch.
yeah.
How did you get out of this situation?
Well, I yelled that they tried to kill me, and I think they kind of realized that they had overplayed their hand a bit because they're like, okay, if we want this guy out, but then we also don't want him to sue us or ever either. And like, they're,
Okay.
they're trying to like,
They're going
not,
too
keep a
far
low
with the
profile.
scare
Right.
tactic, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah.
You just turned around and went home
No,
or
I was like, I'm just trying to get to the highway. And then they like tried to like give me some directions that didn't make any sense. So basically telling me to go the 20-mile route or whatever. But like they said the
Oh.
weird way, like CC road, which that must stand for something like county road or something. I don't know what CC road means, but there's no
Okay.
road named CC road around there.
They were trying to be a little helpful.
After I was like, yeah, like yelling that they tried to kill me, I think they were like, we're like, okay, we just, But definitely the easiest thing for me, because I was like a good quarter of the way through, the easiest thing would have been like, hey, just stay to the road and don't go on our property and just go at the end, right? But they didn't want me to go any further, right? That was clearly their objective, was for me not to go any further. I knew what they didn't want me to do.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Wow. Well, I'm glad you got out okay. That sounds like a pretty scary situation. Did they have guns or anything, or do you think they were packing?
I didn't look, but I'm sure they were packing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just given their whole demeanor. Absolutely.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Yikes. Fun
Yeah.
times. Okay, so don't go past any gates. Check your private property on your Gaia.
Yeah. I could have taken the trail that I had taken to get there. I could have taken that back, but it was getting pretty dark at that point. And so like riding single track like that in the dark is just not ideal. So that's why I took these other gravel side roads that I found. But at one point, like it was actually a part where they were harvesting trees. So there just wasn't road. So I was just looking at Gaia, and eventually it should connect in this general vicinity somewhere. And thankfully I was able to meet up with that.
Oh, okay.
But then there was like another thing where I ran into another gate and I was like, oh, I can't win. But the gate didn't say private property, it just said livestock. So I was like, okay, well, we run into those all the time when we've been down in Nevada and Oregon. So, okay, fine, I'll go around the livestock. And then I got through there, and then there's another gate. But this time it wasn't just like a gate I could slip under. It was like a full-on barbed wire fence. But again, because of my experience down in Oregon, like on those trips that we did, I knew that like it had a little tie, right? So I could untie it and then pull it off the side and go past it, and then reclose it up for him just to keep the livestock in. So I was actually kind of happy about that, because if I didn't have that Overland experience, I may not have known that those gates aren't actually
for
solid
people.
gates. Yeah, exactly. So
more for livestock.
Yeah. But other than that scary experience,
wow,
it was a very awesome trip. Yeah.
How long of a day was that?
Oh, that was, I think I left at 9 a.m. and I think I got back to my camp at 8 p.m. So yeah, it was a long one.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. Oof.
Yep.
My goodness.
So yeah, that was the Olympic Adventure Trail. Hey, Garrick here, just jumping in real quick. If you like what you're hearing, you can help us out by giving us a follow on your podcast apps. So you get our latest episode whenever it comes out. You can give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and you can share us with your friends. Thanks much. I believe you've been pretty busy with like mods and maintenance lately.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of driving. So therefore, I have to do a lot of maintenance. And I feel like we haven't talked about maintenance much on the show. You know, I'm interested to hear what you've done as well. But I mean, I feel like, no, you've got 300,000 miles. I feel like you should be you're probably doing more than me, no?
I don't know. I mean, I do bring it to the dealership to have the oil changes done. I guess I had the spark plugs replaced recently.
Oh, you did?
I have a funny story about maintenance. Right prior to that oil change, I had replaced the air filter. This is right before the VI trip. So I was like, cool, I'll have a nice fresh air filter. And I was curious about like how they decide when you bring it in there and they like tell you that your air filter needs replacing. I was like, I wonder what they're going to say when I get it back, this fresh air filter that I put in like literally the night before I brought it to the shop to be serviced. And sure enough, when I got like the little report back, it's, oh, your air filter needs replacing soon. I was
like, come on. Really? Yeah, that's a standard.
Yeah.
Standard. You got to get Toyota Care. They do it for you. Uh-huh. You have to hear about it. Yeah, I took mine out after that trip. Man, it was disgusting. Oh my goodness. I replaced the engine and I have air cabin filters in mine because I'm a 5th gen. So I did both and woof, super disgusting, but that is to be expected after a dusty off-road trip.
Absolutely.
Man, I've done the alignment at Firestone because I have lifetime alignment. That's always a good thing to do every once in a while when you're jamming your car into rocks and stuff. I have had to change my key battery. I don't know if you have to do this pretty often, but I have to do this
key battery
pretty regularly.
I don't think I have a feeling that mine doesn't have a key battery because that's not something I've ever heard of.
Do you just have one of those like hard keys, no electronics?
It did come with electronics. So you mean like the fob battery? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't use the fob. Like it did come with one, but I've never actually used it. I just use the key to open it and close it.
Yeah, it's like the lock unlock.
Yeah.
And for some reason, if it's not a limited version, you have an actual key, which is super annoying that you have to put into the car. It's so silly. Just do a push button. Anyway, so I have to change the battery on that every 2 years or so. So I've done that. And then I've done the MAF sensor cleaning and the PCV valve. Both of those are stuff that you can go online on YouTube and see exactly how to do it. The MAF sensor is the easiest thing ever because you just need the spray. And then
Okay.
your PCV valve, I don't know how often you have to do the PCV valve. I feel like I've only done it once in the 7 years of owning the car, but PCV valve is an easy one too. It's a very cheap part. It's just maintenance for your car to make sure your car is running and having the appropriate sensors fire off. And then putting in some Techron high mileage fuel system cleaner, which Toyota charges you a lot
Ew.
for. So if you're able to do it on your own, just buying it, I think it's $11, and you put it in your tank when it's empty, you fill it up. Yeah. So recently I had to do the greasing of my UCA ball joints and bushings, and mine are 74 weld, and I don't think they sell them anymore. They're pretty specific and they're very hard to grease. So me doing that every 10,000 miles is rough. And so I finally tried Open Bay Garage. Remember, we've been talking about them and promoting them, and finally went there, and I can say absolutely this is definitely like the Bentley of shops around here.
Ooh,
It
nice.
is really nice, I would
That's
have to
fantastic.
say. And it's pretty well priced. You don't have to have a membership. You can if you want to, but you can go in and pay rack rate, and it's very
Mhm.
reasonable. They have all the tools. They're like really nice, metric and imperial. So I've done my UCAs there. I did that right before the trip to make sure that it was running properly. And then when I took my car in for service after our trip, I don't know if you've done this yet, Garrick, but man, my car runs so much better. I don't know if they just greased everything that needed to be greased, but they tightened up the brakes, greased everything, and I feel like it's like a brand new car. When I took it out of the dealership, I was like, amazing. I only took this in for an oil change, but they did all these other things for me, which was awesome.
Oh, nice. No, I haven't done anything post trip. All of my stuff was like pre trip. I did have one issue that kind of surprised me. I took my motorcycle on a hitch carrier down to the Gifford show last weekend. And it wasn't until I had gotten back and I was like unloading my car that I realized that my helmet, which I had in the back, was like warm. I was like, that's really weird. And so then I like went to the back and felt around the cargo area. And there's like definitely a warm spot that's right by the rear passenger wheel well. And I looked underneath, and like, sure enough, that's right where my exhaust line is. So I wonder if one of the heat shields or something just fell off because it was like pretty
Oh,
hot down there. Kind of scary. Yeah.
oh no.
Yeah. So I'll have to look into possibly adding a heat shield down there.
I wonder if you can do a heat wrap.
Oh, that could be an interesting idea too. Yeah.
That's interesting.
It didn't feel like anything that was like gonna start a fire or anything like that, but it was more hot than I would prefer transferring through. So
I can recommend a couple of things for maintenance, and one of them is the engine bay steam clean. So I get this done roughly once a year, usually towards the end of summer because it's disgusting as heck. And in this case, my air compressor broke. So I got the engine bay steam clean
yeah,
so that
talking
I
about
could
gear failures on that trip.
so I can actually work in there and not feel disgusting afterwards. And it's $110. And you can do it at Toyota. I would recommend Bellevue, but you can also do Toyota of Seattle. And I mean, I guess depending on who's available, but their guys are just amazing. They do it so fast and it is great.
Your before and
I
after
can't
photos
recommend it
are
enough.
pretty, yeah.
Every
So
single wire is cleaned and shiny. I mean, I can see where everything is. It's so nice. So yeah, it was
awesome.
it was great. So I couldn't remove my air compressor because I guess the screws I used to put them into the engine bay were not stainless steel.
Oh, it's
And
all rusted in there. No. Yikes.
also, so I was using the Morphle air compressor, and it really isn't meant to be waterproof. That's not what it was
Hmm.
used for. They really want you to take it in and out of your car and then use it, like out of the trunk and
Right.
use it. It's not really meant to be installed in an engine bay like mine was. And so I essentially fried the circuit board. We had modded it to a button and then plumbed it through the car, but In any case, yeah, that was a bad idea. I mean, I think that was my fault. I was like, oh, okay, this compressor is super fast and it's not very expensive. And I'm just going to throw it in the engine bay and then hook it up. And then not knowing that was probably not a good long-term solution.
It was a sweet setup though, and while it lasted.
Well, it lasted. I think it was 3 years I had it. It was really good. But now, I'm going to have to go ARB.
And are you going to do the same install, like in the same position? Can ARB handle it, or do you need to find a new home for the air compressor?
I was already using an ARB manifold, so I think it's just a plug and play. The only issue is the mount. So I'm going to see if my friend can come up with a 3D mount that I can order online, and we can just print the 3D part, see if that works, and then essentially go online and trade plastic for steel and then powder coat it. So
yeah,
I think it'll be
guarantee
good.
You have a 5th gen, so I guarantee there's a fab shop out there that already makes some sort of mount for the ARB, because that's a very popular car and a very popular air compressor.
You would think there would be more, but there's not. There's about 2. And what they do is they set the ARB compressor quite high in the engine bay so that you can put a tank underneath or anything else you need underneath it. It's really high. And so I have a lot of room there. I don't need it to be that high. And the manifold I have is really quite small. So I think that we're gonna have to do a special mount for it. Because if I sit it up that high, it's almost next to the hood. I don't know if I can run that line without an L bracket out to the manifolds.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's I know, right? You would think this would be easy, right? It's been how many years that the 5th gen has been out and the ARB compressor's been out, but that thing's a workhorse, so I'm really happy. I know Nick has the ARB twin compressor and is very happy with it. Well, I'm excited.
After you guys fab up that 3D print, you could probably put it on Thingiverse and sell it. So
I think my friend's a mechanic. I think he's going to do that.
Nice.
Yeah. I think he is intending on selling that if it fits.
Cool.
Yeah. And the other thing I did was that Toyota told me I had an axle leak on the front axle. So I tried to clarify and say, okay, exactly like where on the front axle is it leaking?
What side?
Yeah, exactly. Is it CV? And they said, yeah. And so I thought, oh, okay, well, I actually had a CV leak on my car last year. So in my mind, I was already like, oh, okay, it's driver's side CV. I just have to put a little bit more AT205 in there to reseal it. Like my $10 fix. I'm going to have to do it again because it's been a year. So I go to open bay and I throw it up on the lift and I look and the CVs are not leaking at all. Not even a little bit. But what is leaking is the steering rack.
Oh, okay. So do you guys even know what they're talking about?
I don't even know if I know what I'm talking about, but I was just like, that looks like the steering rack. I'm pretty sure. And that involves keeping the car on the ground and then just putting AT205 into, what is that called? Power steering fluid?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All I have to do, according to the instructions of the AT205, is I just put some ounces of this into the power steering liquid in the car. And they had overfilled it. So I had to take some out because I think they knew it was leaking. So they just put more in there than they should have. It was well above the max. So I had to take some out in order to put more of this cheating liquid in there. I'm going to watch it and see how it does, but I don't know. There's a little bit of a waste to put up on the lift for no reason,
Yeah.
At least it was an easier job because otherwise I would have had to take all the skid plates off in the front and then basically put that AT205 in the front diff. And that is a job.
I hate taking skid plates off. Next time I take skid plates off, not all of them are going back on. That's how I feel about it. Maybe I just need the front one. Those back ones can be.
I really hate it. Out. And you know what I decided is if I ever have to do it again, I'm going to replace the bolts. Because even though they're stainless steel, they get so cruddy. They're really hard to take on and off. So,
sure. I prefer working my bike because it's just so much more easier. And especially with motorcycles, like if I need to get to something, I can just take a few pieces of plastic off and I can reach it. And then lifting it is like no big deal at all. I have this lift that I bought for $40 or something like that. I can lift the whole bike, no problem.
Wow.
Yeah.
That does make it a little easier to be a tinkerer, huh?
Absolutely.
Is that why Zach has so many?
Yeah, I think so.
Easy to tinker.
He has one bike that's like a forever project bike, it seems like too. Yeah. Actually, we were commenting on that. So I was on that Gifford pin show trip I was talking about, and There's always some bike problem, and we're always talking about, like, yeah, we go on these rides, and there's like always things we have to do to fix our bikes afterwards. On that particular trip, it was his girlfriend Teresa's bike just wouldn't start. It just, like, the starter wasn't even trying to like turn over or anything. It felt like the button wasn't even hooked up. So there
Well,
was some sort of relay issue or something. So she ended up not riding because of it, which was kind of a bummer. But I did want to mention two things from that trip that I think overlanders would enjoy. One of them
okay.
is Burley Mountain Lookout. So this is down just south of Randall a little bit in Washington. Burley Mountain is really cool because it's not a terribly technical drive, but once you get up there, it has one of the most stunning views in the state. You have a very close-up view of Mount St. Adams, Rainier, Mount St. Helens, and then if it's a clear day, you can actually see Hood as well, and it's just stunning up there. So,
Wow. Okay. I
yeah,
see it's a Burley, Burley Mountain. And
early.
then there is a Google Maps waypoint that is a Burley Mountain fire lookout, and the pictures are gorgeous.
Yeah. And a bunch of the Forest Service roads around there are actually somewhat technical, so they're actually pretty fun to both drive and ride as well.
Wow. Looks really cool. Yeah. Just south of Rainier, northeast of Mount St. Helens.
Yeah, so that's a strong recommend. And I've seen a lot of fire
Hmm.
lookouts because that's one of my favorite things to go check out, and that's a top tier one right there.
Oh, and then on that one, just east. So this is on Route 12 near Packwood. So
Hmm.
this past weekend, for the very first time, I took Route 12 in between Packwood and Natchez. And
Sure.
it is, wow, beautiful drive. Absolutely gorgeous, stunning. And you're going along this beautiful river the whole way.
All right.
And there were all these pull offs, and then people were camping. There were tons of campgrounds. One of them was called Windy Campground, so I didn't like that name at all. Yeah, the Teton, Tieton River
Okay.
was that section of 12 that I was on.
Actually, now that you mention it, I have river rafted that. This is going way back. This is at least 10
Whoa.
years ago. But yeah, it's a good time. And they have a commercial place that you can just pay them to go rent the rafts.
Oh, sweet.
Also a good time. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. What else did you
Um,
get up to?
yeah, the other thing I want to recommend is, obviously, since you're close to Mount St. Helens over in that area, a lot of people will hit the west side of Mount St. Helens, which is cool, but there is also an east side of it that is called either Windy Ridge or Windy Ridge. I think probably both apply. It wasn't windy when we were there, but the windy road you take to get there is really fun, and especially on a motorcycle, obviously. But it's beautiful. There's just multiple viewpoints along the way. There's all these lakes over there. There's like cool historical artifacts. There's this car that, well, I guess it's some miners owned it. They had a mining claim, and I don't know if you knew about this, but like in April of 1980, or I think it was actually even as far as back as March of 1980, they started having some volcanic activity. And then I think in April, like, they had the big ash burst that it like hit the whole region, went all the way up to Vancouver Island and whatnot.
Wow.
They knew it was kind of like ready to blow at some point, but they created what was called a red zone and a blue zone based off of their scientific historical data. So like the red zone, like they didn't allow anybody to go in there because if the eruption happened, you would die essentially.
Okay.
But the blue zone was sort of like this area where if you had a permit, you could go in there. So they're like, well, you'll probably be fine or whatever, but we still don't want people getting too close. So that was the blue zone. So these two miners, because they had the mining claim there, they had a permit to be there. And this was on May 18th, which is when it erupted. It was much larger than they had ever anticipated. So these people and a number of other scientists and whatnot that were in the area died because it was a much bigger eruption zone than they expected. And apparently it's this like huge blast of just hot gas that instantly killed a lot of people.
Oh, wow.
And the only thing that remains is their car that they had parked there. So you can come right up their car and see it. It's pretty rusted away at this point, but it's still there. And it's a neat little piece of history you can go see.
Wow. I'm looking at this on Google Maps, and I believe I've identified the road that you're talking about. I think it's NFD 25. But how do you access this road exactly?
Well, so we were staying at a Airbnb near Randall, but I think I don't have
So you're
the
accessing it from the north. It basically looks like you go on to
right. So we came from
from
the north.
12 to 131.
Let me
Okay.
bring up my Gaia here. And they actually had some bridges out too. So there are other ways
I was
to
going to
access
say
it.
there's some no access here. And there you can also access it from the south, it looks like, from Northwoods.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you can go all the way through at this point. That's straight down north-south through the middle of Gifford Prince Show, huh?
Yeah, but that 25 is definitely the main way to get there. 25 is
Okay.
both bounded right now by on the southern end and the northern end. There's a bridge out that was like on the, I think it was the Cispus River. Yeah, the Cispus River. So you can't get there directly from 25. Yeah, we took 23. And then there was like this road that followed on the south end of the Cispus River called Forest Road 76. We had to take that, then connect up with 25 and then take that to it. That's definitely not the most convenient at the moment. I do think a lot of these things are supposed to be fixed over this winter. So if you're listening to this later on in 2026, you're probably okay. But yeah, if you're doing it anytime soon, then definitely check out what the road closures are. Because I know there's something on the southern end of 25 that was also closed.
Well, that's
But
really
it's
cool.
beautiful. Yeah, there's also like a huge lake. It's called Spirit Lake. It's right to the north side of St. Helens. And so you go right along Spirit Lake. It's a beautiful lake. And they have lots of different kiosks that tell you about the area and the eruption event.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Donnybrook Viewpoint, Smith Creek Viewpoint, Windy Ridge Viewpoint.
Yeah,
all along
we
that
were
Spirit
there.
Lake.
Yeah, that was like, mid-September. It was beautiful weather. And there was like, I don't know, maybe like a handful of other cars that were there. And it was just us on motorcycles and we could go anywhere. I felt like we had it to ourselves almost, especially if you do the shoulder season. It's a pretty cool thing to check out.
Yeah, I've been living here how long and I've never heard about this. So this is awesome. Thanks for the tip.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not like terribly far off from the BDR Section 1. So you could even, if you wanted to make like a weekend out of Section 1, you could actually add this as a detour as part of it. The Wobber mentioning, obviously. So
gotta talk about the Wobber.
Yeah. So anyways, that I think is enough of what we've been up to lately. Melody, could you share a random recommendation?
Oh, I have a good random recommendation today because it is Bubba's birthday and he's already passed out. He might have had enough for the day. But we went to All the Best Pet Care, and it's a chain here in Washington. They're kind of all over, maybe concentrated in the Seattle area. And they give you a free birthday bag to your dog on your birthday. It usually comes with a little, maybe 1 to 3 or 4 treats. And then that comes with a plushie that has a squeaker in it that has the word happy birthday on it. And then they have some sort of, it's like a birthday hat, but because Bobo's so tiny, they gave me a cat birthday hat to put on his head, which I'm sure he's going to love. But that's my random recommendation. If it is your pet's birthday, you walk in, you just say it's my pet's birthday, and they give you this wonderful birthday bag. It's great. I love it. We get it every year.
Nice. That's awesome. And that was All the Best?
All the Best Pet Care. Yeah, I'll put a link in our description.
Cool.
Yeah. What is your random recommendation? Ugh. What is your random recommendation, Garrick?
Tongue twisters. That's mine. No. So over the past few months, I think it started back in like April, I started doing Duolingo. Yo aprendo español. I've decided to just do Spanish because that's what I did back in high school. I like their system. I have tried Duolingo before and it didn't catch me, but they've done a lot of updates recently. So if you've tried it before, maybe it's worth a relook. But I find it much more engaging now. And I feel like I really am getting progress with it. And it's something that they have done a really good job of gamifying it to, make it kind of fun to progress. And also they do a good job of making you want to progress, especially with, I just bought a family plan because it was like, I think it was like $2 more per month to get like a family plan versus just a solo plan. So then that gives me like 5 subscriptions I can give out. So I gave a bunch to anybody who wanted them. My brother and sister-in-law are on it, and it gives plenty of things like, hey, keep the streak going and whatnot. And then you can also do it with friends as well. They don't have to be on the same plan. But all that, you get this sort of, okay, yeah, I don't want to break the streak and I want to keep it up for my friends and whatnot. Yeah, I found it a fun way to learn another language, and I don't know how I'm going to use it, but I figured knowing another language could help if I ever do any overlanding in a Spanish-speaking country.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So, I speak Canadian, you speak Spanish. It's going to work out.
Does that mean you speak French?
It does not always mean that, no. I know a little bit. Cool. That's awesome. Well, that's a great recommendation. Yeah, it's awesome to learn a language and nice to know a platform that'll help you get there.
Absolutely. Well, I think that is the end of our episodes. Do you have any closing thoughts, Melody?
Closing thought would be, as we're entering fall, get that maintenance done on your car and get that soup recipe out to make sure that you enter some soup competitions at your next overlanding event and really enjoy this nice crisp weather. Yeah.
I love fall. It's the best. Okay. Sounds good. Let's call that a wrap.
If you want to get in touch with us by email, let us know what you think. remotetrailsradio@gmail.com.
RTR, over and out.